Okay.
We thought when we were young, and we had children your age, that all we had to do was to bring them to the best schools, best Catholic schools, quote unquote, live in the best neighborhood, keep the rest of the world out, and we had it made.
You know what we used to do? Our children would come home from school, and we'd say to them, lock the doors, pilgrims, form a circle with the wagons.
Keep everybody out.
Keep everybody out, because we did everything right.
Everything right.
We prayed together, we played together. My husband, he went on the slopes with his kid and played tennis. I tried to play tennis once. I went like this and I fell. My son said, it's all right, you can watch. We did everything. We argued at table, we talked.
We discussed vehemently.
We went to church together. He was the head of the youth group at our church, our Catholic church. He went to Catholic schools. He was a 4.0 student.
Photographic memory.
What did we do wrong?
At 19 years old, our son died of an overdose of drugs. So we hadn't kept the world out, had we? You can't keep the world out. There's no way that you can keep the world out. What you can do is what he's trying to do. You can change the world. And that's all you can do is change the world. We really believed that nobody else cared about, nobody had values, nobody cared about marriages, nobody cared about family the way we did. We turned off the entire world. We blamed Jesus. That's what you have to do. Everybody does that. You blame Jesus.
You see, the problem was that I misunderstood. Jesus said you must have the faith of a child. And that means total dependency, depending on God, doing His will, and then leaving it up to God. I thought that you must be a child in your knowledge of God. And so I had a love affair with Jesus all my life. I was in love with Him. But how can you be in love with someone you don't know?
We really believe, we don't know that we could have had any change on our son's death because we didn't know anything about drugs in the 60s. I mean, nobody knew. I mean, kids were walking around stoned. He was stoned at his graduation.
We didn't know.
We had no idea.
He had red eyes. Well, he had asthma, and kids with that, and he always had red eyes.
But we really believe that had we known Jesus and Mary in a very, very personal way, that we never would have left the church. He was a young man who, when Neil Armstrong, this is before your time, 1969, Neil Armstrong went up to the moon, and he landed on the moon, and he walked on the moon, and on that day that he walked on the moon, we were in New York working with our company, and we got a call from California. Our son was arrested for possession of drugs.
Marijuana. They called it a roach. I thought a roach was something that
we have in Louisiana. We have plenty of roaches in Louisiana.
And then, of course, we went there, and he said it was on the refrigerator. He was at a party, and well, of course we believed him.
We've known him all his life.
He never lied.
He was our son.
He never lied. He didn't.
But then he told us
the police were always picking on him, and I thought, gee, those police are terrible just because he's got long hair.
He went to a Catholic high school, and he tried for 6 months to stop his friends from taking drugs, and he was turned on to drugs in a Catholic high school.
On a ski trip. You think your mother is a little weird, right? No, your mother isn't.
And mothers, if they say you're weird, don't listen to them. Yeah. You know exactly what you're doing.
Mothers,
don't let go for a minute. Your instincts are right on.
They're right. They're absolutely right. When they were stuck up there in the snow, I said, get the helicopters, call the governor, get those kids out of there. My husband said, you're crazy.
It's no big deal. They'll be out in a couple of days.
They're with their teacher. The teacher had left them. And we didn't find out till my son died. Our son never told us. He never laid blame, but he left a log. He left a diary. And that's when he turned on to marijuana. And what he said in the first page, and I'm not trying to give you a talk on drugs, but he said, whoever tells you that marijuana is nothing is a liar. I looked in the mirror and I saw the devil himself. But by the third or fourth page, he was saying there was nothing wrong with marijuana. My son, who never used a foul word, there was such terrible language and such terrible things in that log that I had to destroy the book. This young man who had a photographic memory, do you know what that means? They just scanned something.
And he knew exactly what
he
was on that
a
page.
genius, could not fill out a simple job application by the time he died. His friends, you know, your friends, your buddies, they were going out the back door. They had robbed him when the police came in for him.
Hi, Dave.
This is...
Okay, this is the bad part. Now we want to tell you the good part.
So what we did was another problem that happens, whether you know it or not.
Shoot the microphone.
My son thought, because that's what the world taught him, what I do to myself. Boys,
it doesn't have any effect. Don't you tell us this. It has no effect on anybody but me. What I do only affects me. That is the biggest lie in the world.
And I think equal to that is they're dumb, as his friends were dying, you know, overdoses of drugs.
And he would tell us. He'd say,
I know what to do.
They're dying because they're dumb. They don't know how to handle it. Well,
there was very little drugs in his body when he died, by the way. He just hadn't eaten. And he did have alcohol. Not much alcohol, not much drugs. You see, he didn't know, did he? And so the night that our son died, because I didn't know who the Lord was, I dealt with emotions. It's not enough. I said to the Lord, take my son. I really don't know. You've given me the most precious gift on earth. He was my baby.
And we don't know how to handle it. This is a new world that we know nothing about. This was about the same time they came out with this new math, which has alienated parents from children. We couldn't help them with their homework.
And we weren't talking. Suddenly, we were not talking the same language. He'd been in college 6 months. There is no God. This boy who had always gone to Mass, lived in the church. I saw the face of Jesus and the face of my son. And I placed the face of Jesus on my son. And my son died. And I thought Jesus had betrayed me.
Because we didn't know him.
I didn't mean
now I'm born in cradle Catholic, raised in Catholic schools all my life, and I didn't know Jesus.
I didn't know Mary. I thought I was the only mother who had lost a child. I swore to God when we did come back. I said, I'll give you everything. But I will never talk to young people.
We never want, conditions. Okay, Lord, this is the deal. We never want to be involved with young people, and we never want to console parents of children who have died.
You never tell the Lord that.
We made that deal. Of course, he takes that, throws it right out the window. Yeah. So what are we involved in? We're teaching CCD, and people would come to us, and our priest would ask for us to talk to people who had lost children, and we wound up doing that.
You know, one time...
the Lord does not cause any of it. I mean, he didn't cause drugs. The CIA caused drugs. He doesn't cause any of these things, but he can use them for his glory. He can use them to bring people into... Our son's death, which was the worst thing that could have happened, until today, 22 years later, my wife will say to you, take the work. Take everything we've got, give me my son back.
Did you know that? You know, there was a couple whose children died in a fire. And this woman got up and spoke to our 8th grade
CCD class.
All the kids.
And there were about 200 of our young people, all 8th graders, confirmation. That was
and she said, as her children were screaming in the fire, she was praising the Lord because she could see their souls soaring up to heaven. We called all our kids into the room, said, everybody in Lord's classroom, get in that classroom. And we said, you just heard the biggest lie that ever happened. Now, I'm not disputing she may have seen their souls gone, but let me tell you, any mother who loses a child does not rejoice. She dies. A part of her dies.
And your parents do care about everything you do.
And there's nothing in this world, nothing that is as precious as you to your mother.
Do you think all these people that are involved in pro-life are getting themselves arrested, being beaten up by police so that the children can be born, and then in 15 years you're going to throw them away? They will never, ever throw you away. You are a part of them.
And they'll never
no matter
stop
what
loving
anybody
you.
tells you, no matter how sometimes they get angry with you. Sometimes you guys don't act too good.
Sometimes they don't act too good.
Sometimes they don't act too good.
You know?
And the barrier grows between you. They love you. They adore you. They would throw themselves in front of a truck to save you. Your parents, and I don't even know your parents, they would do that for you.
They can't be your friends. We tried to be our son's friend, and you should have seen my husband.
I was riding a motorcycle. I
Trying to
almost
ride
killed
a
myself.
motorcycle.
I don't know how to ride a
And
motorcycle.
he'd fall, and the motorcycle would fall on him. He got a gash in his leg, and my son said, "Please, Dad, please, Papa, remain who you are so I have something to come back to." And he'd tell me over and over again, "Don't worry, Mama. I'm going to go full circle,
I'll come back.
and I'll come back to you." But he came back in a box. He was hardly identifiable. They had beaten him so badly.
Okay, that's enough of the bad stuff. Well, we turned off the Lord. We got very angry. We said, "God, it's your fault." And,
That's right.
and
We don't want any part of you.
Any part of you anymore. And that was fine. And he let us go along like that for about 3 years. And then he did what good fathers do. He took a 2x4 and he clobbered us over the head. In a very dramatic way, we experienced a conversion. I did, actually.
He did.
And we came back to the church. I mean, we were just so excited once we did. Once the Lord opened our eyes and saw and let us see that it was not him. That this was the world's doing, and we didn't change the world. So he
That
said,
was
"Okay,
our mistake.
what are you going to do about these kids? What are you going to do about the rest of these people? Are you going to change the world, or are you going to let the rest of them die?" And so we had to make a decision, and the decision had to be to change the world.
And how did we start changing the world? People always ask us, because all that people see are authors and television people, publishers, newspapers. This is what they see.
Good-looking guy.
Yeah, right. But that's all they see. Do you know how we started? When I finally accepted the Lord in my heart, and it took 6 months after my husband, we went on Marriage Encounter, and that was our conversion experience. Every one of you are going to have a conversion experience.
The Lord just fills you in
Everyone
in
has
one
it at a
time in
different
your
time.
life.
Where you, as an adult, as a young adult, accept Jesus and his church.
And your life is just so exciting. Everything is just so exciting. It's like you drink water. It's like after when you stop smoking, you drink water, it tastes good. I mean, everything is just so
Life
beautiful.
is good. But you know what we did? We'd go up to the priest. "Look, we'll clean the church. We'll clean the pews. I'll clean the altar." We'd go up to couples who were giving Marriage Encounter weekends.
We'll
We'll
babysit.
babysit. My husband was a good typist. I'll type. We'll babysit. We'll clean your house. Go. We never thought of ourselves in a grand manner. We never thought we could write books or take out pilgrimages or be on television. We're not trained for any of these things. All we wanted to do was to serve this church once we got to know her.
And change the world.
And it's the only way we could change the world. We can't change it by politics. You all know that, don't you? We can't change it with legal systems. We can only change it through Jesus Christ and through his mother Mary. It's the only way, but it is the way.
It's the best way. It's the strongest way.
And
It's
there
the
is
way that really
power in
works.
it.
It really works. Now, this drives me crazy. I used to hate to say the rosary. Don't tell anybody here. I used to hate to
Me
say
too.
Hail Mary, Hail Mary.
I'm
Hail
such an
Mary.
active person. The rosary's not active.
And yet, one time we were overseas with a pilgrimage, Penny and I were, and Brother Joseph and Liz Elena stayed behind in California, is where we lived at the time. And we were having a very difficult time with this pilgrimage. The people were driving us up the wall.
They were fine. It was just that,
They were
it was the
driving us
first
up
time
the
they were
wall.
on a pilgrimage.
And all of a sudden, everything just smoothed out. Everything just
Doors
became
opened up,
terrific. I mean, just
and
everything worked right. And we couldn't figure it out. We hadn't done anything terrific, and all of a sudden,
wonderful.
everything was just fine. We called home. We said, "What are you guys doing
what's
there?"
happening?
Well, we always said every night we say the rosary. Everybody, that's it. We say the rosary. And
Say
they said,
5 decades.
It just seems that while you were gone, we decided, let's say 15 decades today. And so they started to say 15 decades of the rosary every day instead of 5 decades. And they started doing this and never stopped. It kept going on and on and on. And before you know it, the power of the rosary. There is power in the rosary. It's unbelievable. It's so hard to really explain it, but there is great power in the rosary.
And you know, if you're anything like me, I'm a real Martha personality. You know, you can tell, can't you? But the popes before us, the saints, and I have to admit that I have seen the fruits. I accomplish more when I stop and pray and say the rosary than working at breakneck speed. And I'm one of those people, I work till I drop dead, you know? But when I stop, when I say the Chaplet of Mercy, the alarm rings in the ministry. It's 3 o'clock. No matter what you're doing, everybody, you know, save what you got on the computers and come down. We say the Chaplet of Mercy in the chapel. Something happens. There is a joy and a peace that comes into it, whereas we might be all going, and we're starting to bite at each other. Hey, even in Catholic ministries, people lose their temper, lose their cool, they snap at each other.
They don't get enough sleep, whatever.
It's because we don't pray enough. It's because we don't call upon the angels. You've got angels. Did you know that? You have a guardian angel. Now that was given to you.
They like to say, like, yeah, right.
No, you really do.
You do.
You
Honest
do.
to God, we all have angels. We all have, and the angels do protect you. The angels,
See?
you just can't see them. Doesn't mean they're not there. Can you see wind? It's not there. It's there. You can, the wind is there. The angels are really, really there.
Can you see love? But it's there, huh?
It sure is, honey. We really believe that we were given certain powers. You guys. We're
All
all
of us.
given strong
we're wealthy.
gifts, powers.
Strong.
The rosary is one of the greatest powers that we were given. We started researching battles that were won by people saying the rosary. And a lot of them are old. One of them was in the year 1540 or 1570. And Our Lady of Guadalupe was at the helm of this ship. And these people were tremendously outnumbered. The Battle of Lepanto it's called. And yet the Pope started a rosary crusade and they won the battle.
Another battle where 250,000 Saracens, Muslims, against 80,000 Christian soldiers, they prayed the rosary. And the Christians were successful in stopping the spread of Islam in Europe, which is happening today. There is power in the rosary.
1987 in the Philippine Islands, Manila.
They
the
held
Battle
up
of
a
Manila.
rosary.
The tanks were coming. It was during the time of Aquino, and the tanks were coming, and they were coming to battle the people, and the people walked out with rosaries in their hands to go against the tanks. And the soldiers got off the tanks and prayed the rosary. Philippine Islands, Manila, 1987, 6 years ago.
We just want to tell you this. We are in the days of saints and martyrs. We are in the greatest time in our church, in our country, and in our world. Don't let anybody sell you short. Don't buy this cheap substitute of life that people want to sell you. You don't have to go with the flow. You have to be a contradiction. You have to be a leader. We're not here to speak to followers. If we think you're followers, we're leaving the room. We're here to speak to leaders.
And you are leaders.
And you must be
You're a
leaders.
leader. And you know something? You guys are the majority. Y'all.
Y'all are the majority.
Now that we live in Louisiana, we say y'all. We say you
y'all.
guys. Now we y'all. Y'all.
Y'all. Good man.
Y'all. Y'all are the majority. You know, in your schools, you know, everybody's doing this and everybody's doing that. That's not true. Only a small percentage of big mouths are doing it.
Weak people.
Weak people.
Weak
They're the ones that are
people.
doing it. The ones that are not doing it are the majority. The majority are not doing it. And don't let them tell you, oh, everybody's doing it, man.
Strong people. Strong people do not do evil because they don't have to do it.
They don't need it.
Okay? Weak people do it. And weak people must make you do it because they need company. You can't stand alone. Jesus stood alone. Jesus died on the cross alone. And you can do no less. You are a Roman Catholic. Be proud of it. Live up to it. Save your church.
I think
Church
we're going to
will
let
save
you
you.
go.
We love
We're
you.
going to let you go. We love you. God bless you. Thank you for this time.